What up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome and taking care of yourself. So today we're going to talk about alien abductions and one particular gentleman who came out and talked about his very terrifying experience at 6 years old. Now, millions of people around the world talk about their own alien abduction experiences with wildly, various entities and wildly various occurrences that happen. But one thing seems to remain a constant, and that is generally it's a pretty terrifying experience. Although some people are shown magical powers, some people are given magical powers, some people are shown the future, some people are shown their children that they created through this hybridization program. But this gentleman's story is really interesting. They actually show him what could be his potential future, and that's why I thought it was such a worthwhile topic to share with you guys. So I'm going to share it with you. I hope you enjoy it, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. I guess my question would be to you, have you ever had a alien abduction experience? If you have, please email us at Lockdown Universe. We'd love to hear about it. We'd love to, maybe have you on the show. We can talk about it, or at least just kind of have a gathering and kind of a coming together, a powwow of alien abduction stories that make sense and that we can see if there's any consistencies. But let's get to the story. Okay, here we go.
What I remember from it is it was late at night. I woke up in bed and my whole room was just filled with light. And what I remember, it was just like a bright, blinding, bluish-white light that left no shadows anywhere in my room. And then all of a sudden, I just see these two small beings just appear right by my window in my room. And they were wearing this like tight-fitting, silvery, glittering, shining body suit type thing. And I felt this pounding sensation in my whole body and my whole head. This voice just said, "Come with us." And that was it. I didn't question it. I just went. My body was just under its own control or something. I just went. And then the next thing I know, I'm just floating up through the air, and I can see the night sky, I can see the city below me, and then I see just this bright white light up ahead of me, and then I'm just inside this large hangar type area, and I'm seeing everything was like white panels, flush, metallic concave beams, and it was just, I can't properly describe it. It was like something out of a movie, and these two beings were standing right next to me, one on each side, and I remember them guiding me around, just showing me things, and I remember seeing these silver orbs just parked along the side wall to my left, and then I look over and I'm seeing like these tall human-looking people with these small, littler beings, and at that point I just get terrified and I just start running. There's this hallway that I just go down. I'm running down this hallway, and I see this large window out to my right, and I run up to the window, and I see just the blackness of space. I don't see any stars, but I just see like this curvature, blue, white, shiny thing in the bottom left outside the window, and then that terrifies me even more. I have no idea where I'm at that point.
Doesn't that sound like Travis Walton's story where he got into that area of the ship where there was a chair there, and then he was able to see stars through the bottom of the ship? Basically, whichever way he looked while he was in the chair, he could see stars, he could see the entire outer space. Sounds like what he encountered. And I encountered something similar to him where I actually was hovering over my own city and then smashing back into my own body, into my bed. And like my whole body shook and jumped up off the bed. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. But anyway, let's continue with the story. It's only a couple more minutes here.
And I just keep running down this hallway, and it comes to like a little junction to where I see another one of those human-looking people kneeling down in like some crates or boxes, and then when I get to that little cross section, this being grabs me, and I feel this more of that pounding inside telepathic voice inside my head saying, "Whoa, hey, you're not supposed to be here." And at that point, I'm just petrified, no idea what's going on. And these two beings show up again, and then they grab me. And then at that point, I'm completely paralyzed. I can't move. And they're either carrying me or floating me or something. They're carrying me back down this hallway, and they lead me to this squarish room. And it had like a brown diffused light inside of it. Everything was just like a hue of like brown. And I remember seeing like this science-y station looking thing with like a bunch of screens, tubes, speakers, whatever it was, just off to the right in the corner, and there was this large praying mantis looking thing standing over it, doing stuff with the little whatever it was, and these two beings lay me down onto this reclined table, and I'm laying there on my back, and I'm still paralyzed. I can't move, and my hands are in like an upright, curved position, and I can't move, like completely paralyzed. And the whole time, it was excruciating pain. And at that,
so it's interesting because he says his hands were in like basically a praying mantis position. For those of you guys not watching on the video, now it's also interesting because they also mention the fact that it's a praying mantis. Praying mantises are known for their scientific, high educational status. They're also known for trying to find the human subconscious. There's been many abduction stories where they ask the individual, where is the human subconscious? Almost as if they're quizzing us or trying to find out exactly how our brains work. Strangely enough, almost like they can't use their own telepathy to try to just find out where our brain map is. You think they have the technology, but these guys, they're not always as advanced as we believe they are. Yes, they can travel amongst the stars, but so can we now that we have their crashed craft. So they may be very advanced in technological form, but not necessarily always in the psychological aspect. So let's finish up his story with the third video, and we'll knock it out.
I remember one of the beings just sat there by the table, just staring at me, and I could see their eyes. They were this.
It gets better.
Large,
just hang on.
Circular, golden brown, speckled eyes. I mean, they didn't have like the sclera or whatever it is, the whites of our eyes that we normally do. It was just complete iris. It was complete. There was large black pupils just staring at me this whole time. And I remember this large insect, praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Everything just felt warm, fuzzy, and just like I was in a daze. And the next thing I know is I'm able to move again. And these smaller little beings, they grab me off the table and they lead me to an adjacent room. And in that room, they hand me a small black box, and they had me open the box, and inside the box, it just exploded in light.
That's where it gets
good. It was
good.
like an information download, watching 1,000 movies play at once at like light speed. It was just memories, images of like mountains, stars.
He said it was like 1,000 memories coming out at once.
Symbols, mathematical equations, like flashes as images of like different memories of like.
Where have we heard that before but on DMT trips, like by Joe Rogan's podcast?
Just normal stuff, like walking down a roadway, walking up to a hill, just random stuff, maps, all random shit. And at that point, it brought me to a memory of my own past life, to where I saw my own family die in a car accident, walk up to my own house, and then I shot myself. And then that memory ended, and then once that ended, they took the box away and closed it. And then they led me back down that hallway that I was running down at the beginning, led me back into that large hangar-type area, and then I was just in my room, and then they were laying me back down into my bed, and then they walked back to my window, and they turned around, and that telepathic voice again said, "We'll be seeing you again soon." And then that was it. Apparently it's all part of the plan, and they don't tell you what the plan is. It's just that you're a part of it. And I'm a science guy. I'm a spiritualist guy. I don't think that these things are angels, demons, or anything like that. I think they're people just like us, and I don't know what they want with us. And
So there you go. That's his story. But what I think is really interesting is that very last part where they take him into a room after they've already zapped him in the ear with some sort of substance given to him by the praying mantis being. He opens this box, and his box basically tells him his future. Is it like the yellow cube that was given to us by the aliens? The yellow book, yellow cube, tells you your future. But what's interesting is it wasn't his future. It was his past. It told him what happened in a past life. Holy shit. How many alien abduction stories have we heard and never once ever heard about them showing anyone their past life? None of them. Never, not once, okay? So this is really fascinating because this is a one-of-a-kind type experience. He also stated that he was getting all of these visuals, all these thousands of memories at once. It was a light box that opened, and it just flooded his mind with all of this information. What was the shot that he was given by the praying mantis? Was it a DMT shot that allowed him to see all of this information? Was it a shot of a certain chemical that humans lack, that specifically block our capability of seeing into the past or into the future, or seeing a past life or the future or all of our past lives? Let me stop and tell you a little bit of a story. I've had a reoccurring dream my entire life of a tree. This tree I believe to be the tree of life in my mind. That's what I kind of call it. I call it the tree of life. Because every time I enter this tree, it's filled with an old Victorian type of hallways. And in these hallways are portraits of many different individuals, males, females, some from the Civil War, Victorian era, some from France, some from Italy, some from all over. And each one has its own indistinct characteristic and personality. And it goes way back. And it's a beautiful, beautiful home inside of this tree. It's a grand tree, large, huge, huge maple, but it has one door you go in. And each of those paintings calls out to me as they are an individual past life I have lived. And each of those calls out to me different memories. And I find it fascinating every time I have this dream, because I wake up and I remember the dream. And not all of my dreams do I remember. I would say maybe 50, maybe 30% the dreams I might remember. The older I get, the tougher it is to try to remember. The older you get, the more medication you take, and it kind of hurts your memory's recall capability. So I think maybe, they gave him the capability to see into the past, maybe to heal a centuries-old hurt so that he can move forward into the future. And as he said, it's part of the plan. We're under their control at the time. We are at their mercy. So they're showing us something. Maybe he's been a lifelong abductee. Maybe I've been a lifelong abductee. And I've just been too scared to undergo hypnosis all these entire years and times I've been offered it. But I think for him, I think that box with all of the symbols and all of the random pieces of information that he was trying to interpret could have been previous lives that his brain just wasn't ready to absorb at that time period. Not to mention, the least of which, he was on an alien ship in space. And he was surrounded by praying mantises. So imagine trying to focus in on what's in this light box, as powerful as it may be. But still having that in the back of your mind. I'm on a spaceship out in space, abducted by these praying mantises. What is interesting about the praying mantis, they seem to be highly intelligent, and I say highly intelligent more than the small grays, more than even the reptilians, more than the Nordics, because they are able to give us so much information, whether it be from the past or the future, with either a simple touch of the hand to the head, or to calm you with a simple touch to the head, or to transfer tremendous amounts of information, apparently with a box this time. In other times, I've heard about it with their hand simply touching the individual's head. And there's been so many abduction stories with these praying mantises that have talked about all of those experiences I've talked about. So what do you think about this particular abduction event? Do you think that it's real? There's some people who say it's hard to tell the truth. One commenter, Mrs. Adrift, says he tells it very authentically. It's hard to tell. It's hard to take how to tell the truth. There are many signs. So I believe that she's saying she believes him. Another individual says he's making it up. And another individual says the man describes an alien abduction he experiences. Sounds terrifying. What do you think? Another person says, LMAO, how much was he paid for this? See, you have a lot of detractors, and, it almost makes you wonder if the government isn't just paying for bots to discredit people. Let's see what another...
I was 6 years old.
Oh, no, we heard that. We got that. No, we heard that. Got that, too.
I was 6 years old.
So I like that there's people who say, do you think alien abductions are real? Of course, man. We're not here to debate that. We're here to hear about this guy's story. And I think that it was pretty legit. And he said it was when he was 6 years old. I was around the same time when my experience occurred, around the same age. So I think they take you early. I think that they start their process early so that you're aware of who they are. You maybe start to become comfortable with them doing this, and that you don't freak out every single time. Because imagine getting abducted as an adult and not having any experience with it. I almost wish that they gave you something that you could communicate back with just to verify that it happened. It doesn't have to be something that you can prove to the government that this existed, or prove to everybody else that this existed, but it could be just for you, just so you know that it happened. Maybe just in your head, just to be able to telepathically communicate with them and say, hey, did this happen? And have an answer come back, and have maybe some images come back and that you can explore. But I think that they put that block on you so that you can continue to live your life and not be totally freaked out all the time. They probably know better than we do, and they're probably just trying to save us. But at the same time, I feel like it would broaden our horizons so much and make us more accepting and more understanding. And just like the last podcast where we talked about utopias and developing our ascension processes and developing our understandings and empathies towards other beings on the planet, as well as out into outer space, we have to be able to accept these encounters, understand these encounters, be willing to accept them, be willing to engage with them in an intellectual way. And we can't really do that if they're just masking our memory every single time. I mean, we don't go around masking our dog's memory just because they had a bad experience. No, you learn about it. Or maybe it's a helpful experience to learn about. You just don't go masking everybody's memories unless you have a real reason to. Either the government told them to do it, or they're just doing it on their own and they were told to do it by somebody else. So, anyway, I find this fascinating. I wonder what that box really is, if it was technology, or if the injection that the praying mantis gave to him made him hallucinate that he was looking into a box. If the box is real, obviously it's high technology. It's way beyond what we have. It allows you to see into your past, almost like a chronovisor. And we've talked about chronovisors here on the program that were developed by an Italian priest in the Vatican. and they hold one as well as the United States, and they're able to see into the past and the future in their immediate surroundings. It uses radiation left over by the past to see the past as well as into the future, interestingly enough. So could this box also be doing the same thing? Maybe it's reading his mind and allowing his mind to open up a little bit more into the past and explore his history. Interestingly enough, the Terrence Howard and Joe Rogan podcast, Terrence Howard talked about how he remembered being born and before he was born and being within his mother and then making the decision to come out. And then once he came out, saying, I must remember, I must remember, I must remember, so that he remembered being in it inside of his mother and then coming into this world and having a lot of knowledge, having a hell of a lot of knowledge. If you listen to the podcast that I did about Terrence Howard, you'll find out how intelligent he really is. Really quite a fascinating guy. So go back, check that one out if you missed it. If you listen to it, I really appreciate you. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to try to find some more interesting stories to bring them to you. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Take care of yourself spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Obviously, we know that that's super important. Sometimes it's easy to ignore, but self-care is so important. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. Lockdown Universe out. Peace. Go like, follow, share, subscribe. Out.